Sometimes love can ring a bell. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Oberon's Outlook on the Emotional Exchanges. This is my weekly tarot forecast for the emotional ups and downs, currents, undercurrents, and otherwise situations going on that affect our emotions. And that's good for the week from today, Friday, May 1st, through next Thursday, that's the 7th. This reading is for the signs of the zodiac as determined by their elemental association. So I go through each elemental quadrant. So we're going to start right away. And of course, we always do the word of the week, and that is a word that I pull from another deck. It's a tarot deck that has words on it that I find to be useful. Guidelines or thoughts to keep in mind over that next week. So our first reading is going to be for the air signs. Air signs are Gemini, Libra, and also Aquarius. So those tend to be our little bit more thoughtful, intellectual type signs. So first, our word of the week for them, as previously pulled just moments ago, unforeseen. The unforeseen. Okay, this means to me that I think that although air signs find themselves to be very thoughtful and intellectual, any of us can always possibly fall into areas that we do not adequately see. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind in our thought processes. Take into account that there are unforeseen forces. And if you look at the bottom underneath the person there walking underneath Moot, I think that's Moot, is a Scorpio, a scorpion. And that, of course, does speak to the unseen. So that's your word of the week, air signs. And now we're going to go ahead and pull the cards for you, shuffle and pull. And remember, our standard disclaimer is that all tarot card readings, all astrology generally tends to be for entertainment purposes only. We hope you do get something out of it. If so, please like or share or leave a comment. Subscribe to our channel, TFT Tarot for Today. We would really appreciate it. So here are the cards for your reading, air signs. We have a Princess of Cups reversed, a Four of Cups, whoops, getting that glare there, and that one's upright. And then the Queen of Swords, and that one's reversed, the Queen of Swords. So what does that mean? Princess of Cups reverse seems to indicate that for the air signs, they're going to be having some problems with their imagination, drawing things out of context and maybe leading them to believe some mistruths or falsehoods they may be hearing. I have a feeling that it is also tied up in something recent that's been going on or that is coming to you this week, and that is what the Four of Cups shows us here, the idea that there are a number of choices or offerings at this time that maybe some of our air signs have to consider, and it could be a lot of things, but I'm imagining that it is involving emotional changes. We may have choices in relationships, maybe they're primary relationships, maybe not so much. They may be changes in how we relate to a number of things emotionally. Do we have to decide that we don't like certain things anymore for certain reasons? Is that what the princess is telling us, that maybe we have been kind of following some bad advice here, and now we're not sure about those changes. With the Queen of Swords, though, I'm thinking that rationality may have to, I have so many problems working with my mirror image. Rationality may have to actually impede here, because what we may find out is that these judgments, which were sort of questions or thoughts on direction indicated by the Four of Cups, they're actually judgments. They're actually major decisions, and you may have to make them maybe a little bit more from a harsher point of view, a more stern point of view. It's not that you're not going to be unfair about it, but you're just going to have to really separate some of this emotionality, maybe nearly completely out of the picture. And I can't imagine what that's exactly about. I mean, like I said, it could be about our relationships. I do sort of feel that it's about that. So good luck with you guys, because it does sound like a kind of heady brew there. And I can't say more that the effects of our world right now are probably affecting a lot of us emotionally and otherwise. And, you know, there's a lot of rough stuff going on there. And decisions are being made all the time about, you know, where our fates are going to. So let's move on. And we're going to move on to the fire signs. Fire signs are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. They tend to be transformative energies. They tend to be quicker moving. They tend to have some of the ideas about ego more about them because they feel they lead the way in a way. Yeah, that's slightly personal on my part. You know, I deal with a lot of fire signs. But at any rate, they're 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 interesting in emotions because they are. I'll just say that. I don't want to get in trouble with anybody. So anyways, what is their word of the week? For the fire signs, this is kind of cool in a way. Their word of the week is impediment. See that there? Impediment. And so fire signs maybe have to deal with some limitations this week. You know, we're talking about how we emotionally evaluate and how we emotionally decide to work within certain parameters. Maybe it's our job, maybe it's our religious life, maybe it's our life with our parents, our children. But we may have to deal with some impediments. And of course, the key one right now is, of course, that we can't really be in person with people. We have to learn how to do things virtually. And for some of us, that may be a little bit rougher. I don't know that it should be for fire signs necessarily more so than the other signs, but you never know. Maybe this is a warning to them saying that they're at times quick or brash moving, emotional read on things. Maybe will not allow them to understand that they have to work slower with some impediments. So yeah, I'm telling you, fire signs to slow down a little bit. Don't burn me for that. Okay, so we're going to do the reading now. And this reading is, of course, like I've mentioned, good for the next week from today, Friday, May 1st. Happy May Day in whatever form you celebrate that, everyone. Till next Thursday, and that's the 7th. So, oh, I think that's one of your cards. Yes, it is. And that's one. And that's one. So we have 3 cards for the fire signs, and they are the King of Swords upright, the Ten of Wands upright, and the Queen of Cups reversed. She's come back again to spread a little more of her difference slant on things into the world here. So we have these 3 cards for fire signs. King of Swords is about judgment and decision. So once again, somebody is looking at having to make some really important decisions in this next week. And I imagine that these are decisions that affect emotionally how we are dealing with people or situations and other forces like that. And so then we also see the Ten of Wands. And I'm wondering if this card says the judgment or the decision is about possible burdens or limitations that we have to add to somebody's life or somebody's retinue. It may be for ourselves, like maybe we are each thinking, I have to juggle around so many things that now I have to really consider this decision of taking on some added burdens. Not really being truly free because there's certain other responsibilities or obligations that are beyond your personal autonomy. I think that's a big part of what that talks about, is that these burdens, they may be beyond what you could actually put on yourself. They may be obligations of another sort. And so we also have the Queen of Cups reversed. And I think that this says that all of this is adding a really heavy emotional load for you guys, the fire signs, that um, you're finding that maybe what happens here is that you're seeking an escape, and an escape in the realm of your imagination. And so you have to be careful where you draw the line there. I mean, your imagination may be able to help you with some situations, but some of this is obligatory, and you may have to really understand that. And I'm thinking that's why you had that word of the week, impediment, because these are the impediments that are coming to you, that you have some struggles and obligations and some burdens that are not really yours, but you have to kind of take them on to yourself. Um, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, you know, this is going to affect people with their retirement plans, their pensions. I'm talking about the virus, of course, that um, it's just going to change the fabric of life for so many people. And we're really going to have to learn how to help each other out. And if we don't, then, you know, maybe society steps in and puts those burdens and impediments on each of us because we have to. I don't know what the answer says. I really don't. So I'm just going to say I'm not necessarily a fan of all this. I'm just telling you how I'm looking at it. So we're going to move on now to the water signs. Water signs are Pisces, Scorpio, Cancer, or if you prefer the other order, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. Water signs are truly the signs that do tend to have a natural relationship with their emotions and their emotionality. I mean, occasionally you see certain persons who struggle with their emotionality, and it may be that there are other aspects to their chart that gives them different stability from an earth sign that maybe is aspecting towards, you know, other planets or whatever that is. Yes, in real life I am not an astrologer, but here I pretend that I do know something about it. Anyway, you have a word of the week too, and this is a natural word for water signs, in my opinion: expressiveness. Expressiveness. And I think this came up recently for another reading a week or maybe two ago. And I think water signs, sometimes, you know, you understand things either at a heart level or at a very core emotional level. It doesn't necessarily represent the truth. It may represent your truth, or it may represent really the depth of your feeling. But maybe you have to learn how to express that in appropriate ways this week, as we're all dealing with our emotional issues right now, and with the issues of being contained. And maybe that's what this is about, is water signs don't always do good under isolation. Although they may have some real private feelings about themselves, they, like every other sign, they do need to have balance with um, the rest of humanity, however you want to look at that. So maybe water signs need to also take up a hobby this week. At any rate, we're going to do our reading now for the water signs. And I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. And if you like what you saw here, please, of course, like it, share, follow, subscribe. Help us grow our channel. We're trying to get out there, and we know there's a lot of other really cool tarot readers too, and we hope to be supportive of them. So if you have somebody else you like to go to, maybe you want to mention us to them once in a while, we would appreciate that, and we'll mention those guys too. We have a whole stable of people that we like to visit and comment with theirs. So here's your reading, water signs, and you have your three cards: the Queen of Swords, the Ace of Swords. These are both upright. And then you have the Four of Discs, or Four of Pentacles or coins, and that's reversed. So the Queen of Swords tells us that water signs are finding themselves in a kind of higher mode of really abstracting a little bit, removing themselves from some of that emotionality, because they feel they're being called upon to make some key decisions here and some important decisions. And so they want to balance most of their aspects of emotionality towards evidence and data and towards reason and intellect, fairness, the best judgment qualities. So you're finding that's going on for you. And I'm going to have to say that, yes, there's something really big going on. There's a new beginning with water signs. Something is coming back, or something is returning, or something is starting anew, but it has strong qualities of moving forward. It's a project, it's a new job, or it's a return to your job after weeks and weeks of being away from it. But now everything's literally different again. Maybe many of us are going to be called, not just water signs, but all of us are going to be called to reinventing what we do for our livelihoods, what we do in our jobs, or what we do in the infrastructures that we work in, whatever those are. And I think too that with the Four of Pentacles reversed, this is really saying that a lot of this is involving changing our attitudes about money, prosperity, financial things, security. We may have to really understand that the decisions we're making are taking that into mind. I think it's also where we're going in the future and how that affects each and every one of us. So it's quite heady in a way, and I'm thinking that that card expressiveness is that there's never been a time for a greater sense of consensus coming to our dialogues. I realize a lot of people say, oh, consensus, everybody has to agree. Well, no, there's different forms of consensus. You can get a consensus of sorts, and you need to work towards that, because what's wrong with everybody having a chance to speak their piece there, and everybody saying, this is how it affects me and this is what I need, and that we can all find our solution if we are able to listen to each other and work with each other. So that's what I have for the water signs, and I hope that's a good card for you guys. We're going to move on finally to our earth signs, which will wrap up the session for Oberon's outlook on emotional exchanges. Earth signs, you are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. You tend to be a little bit more solid, dependable, trustworthy. You're slower to move on those emotional issues, if not other issues. You may want to have a take a back step a little bit and examine things. You're just not necessarily a fast mover, but it doesn't mean you're plotting. It just really means you're more cautious. I think caution is probably one of those things about you. And your word of the week, though, is not necessarily a caution word. It's versatility. And I think that earth signs, it's been going on for a while now, but now maybe it's a chance for you to shine some of that versatility. You're not just slow and quiet-minded. You're not just selfish or craving your own comforts. You are versatile. You maybe have been waiting a long time to be able to show some of those things. So this is really kind of your chance. So go for it. So we're going to go ahead and do our reading, and that will wrap it up. And I'm in a rocking chair, so I keep shifting around here. I'm just not totally comfortable, so I hope you guys don't mind. But here we go. And you have your 3 cards. The Ten of Swords, that's reversed. You have the King of Cups upright. And you have the Lovers. Didn't this happen last time for Earth signs too? I'm not sure if I remember that. Anyway, it did come up for somebody last week or very recently. The Ten of Swords says there's kind of like an important thing here. It's kind of like you're sort of getting over something really bad, and maybe some of you Earth signs are turning the corner on your own personal feelings, maybe of devastation or whatever's going on with your own reactions, to the virus. The versatility word comes to mind again. Maybe there's just something really bad personal that happened in your life beyond that, because the virus is affecting everybody in different ways. And I have to mention at this point that I have very recently received word that one person I know has passed away, somebody who I've known for years and really cared a lot about. And I know that relatives of several people I know now have been affected. Some have died, some are sick. So it's a horrible thing. And I don't think that this Ten of Swords necessarily represents that, but it wouldn't necessarily not represent that. This is saying, though, that for the Earth signs, they're working with getting rid of some bad stuff. And some of that, I think, is possibly coming from a situation where maybe they have to refer to a really kind person, or they maybe have to create a partnership with somebody who represents the free and unconditional giving of love, some emotional wisdom, some counseling, some benevolence. Maybe the Lovers is that person too, that maybe we are turning to our lover, the person we love the most in our lives, the person who is our best friend, the person who is the wisest benefactor, emotional gauge for us. If we don't have a person in that lives, there may be people who are close to that. We are turning towards that Earth signs because we have that realization that we need their support now in this time of moving beyond what these crises and the specific crisis of the coronavirus is. We have almost, but not quite in my opinion, defeated some of this. And I think it's just really the kind of thing that overall it never will be. We're going to always be dealing with working on this for some time to come, I think. And so we have to rely on those wise powers of love that we have here. God, I can't get the mirror thing right. There we go. No, maybe. So really, that's what I see. Society is being remade, and a lot of things in society are being remade, and we're going to have to hold tight and deal with that. And so what I see there for all the signs is to some degree hopeful. We have to just hang on there, and we have to hold on to that emotional strength that we get from understanding ourselves in our hearts, and how we understand what the hearts of others mean to us and what love and energy we can receive from them. So those are the words to keep in mind here for everyone. And I hope that helps you. I hope you will tune in again for another installment of Oberon's Outlook on the Emotional Exchanges. And remember to watch our live stream on TFT Tarot for today. Thank you. Bye-bye.